A total of 18 Nigerian track and field athletes based in the United States of America is expected to join Nigeria's camp in Accra, Ghana for the 2024 African Games scheduled to hold in three Ghanaian cities, Accra, Cape Coast, and Kumasi. Already, a total of 33 local-based athletes made up of 17 men and 16 women have started their campaign in Abuja on readiness for the Games. The technical director for the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, Selma Onikoku, told newsmen yesterday that the federation had already worked out modalities, including sorting out flight tickets for all the foreign-based athletes. According to him, registration for athletic team for the African Games will close today. Michael, what do you make of it? The Athletic Federation of Nigeria, of course, really preparing for the All-African Games.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, preparation has started, in earnest, especially for the home-based athletes out there. You saw some of the warm-up programs that they try to put in place so as to select the best of the athletes, in the country will be going out there to do us proud. If you ask me, I think I would say yes. We've actually had a relatively good preparation so far, and for me, I strongly believe that these are the best of the hands when we talk about athletes in the nation right now that is going out there because, looking at the platform to which they've actually set up to ensure that they select the best of, and you say that the process, has been free and fair so far. You just come there, do your thing, put your best out there, and if they get to see that indeed you stand tall among the rest, of course you are selected. Just like you say, 17 female and 16 male has been picked up for this very one. And again, about 18 of the European-based athletes, the likes of Toby Amosho and the rest, the likes of Nekwechi, just name them, they will be part and parcel of the contingent as well. And I believe the flight ticket, just like you mentioned earlier, has been sent to them before now so that they can, be coming down to join the rest of their colleagues out there in the camp so that, they get to understand each other better, get to train, 1 or 2 times, get to know themselves better, and also, perfect some of their plans so as to make sure they go out there and do us proud, because I believe the essence of we going out there, far away Accra in Ghana, is not to just go and make up the number, but to go out there and prove a point to the rest of Africa that indeed we are the giants of Africa. And by so doing, I believe we are going to make very good impression out there, because I see the likes of Toby Amosho doing pretty well since the start of this season. Generally, you want to say that most of Nigerian athletes over there in Europe, they have started the year in a good fashion, and I believe they are going to bring that fine, start of the year down to the camp of the, Nigerian Athletic Federation, even as we head to, to the All-African Game. With all of this, I believe we are going to go out there, and do the country proud.
All right, so keep our fingers crossed and look forward to see how the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, of course, will perform at the All-African Games. But away from that, let's talk about the triathlon, sport. The atmosphere in the Triathlon Federation was filled with excitement as they were finally granted the opportunity to participate in the 13th African Games. The statement by the board board member of Triathlon Federation, Tony Nazia, said it faced an initial rejection from the Nigeria's Ministry of Youth and Sports, but numerous behind-the-scene efforts were made to secure their inclusion in the prestigious, events talking about the All-African Games. So, Michael, we'll be seeing the triathlon sports, in the All-African Games for the Nigerian contingents.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a good and a bad feeling as well. It's a mixture of both good and bad feeling. In the sense that triathlon on a sport which we are not that familiar in this part of the world. It's a relatively an unknown sport for me, and that is the reason why you saw, the board out there pleading with the sport ministry, to ensure that they provide funds for them, which for me, I think we shouldn't be so. It looks as though this kind of sport has been relegated to the background you know, that people who man the affair, talking about the Triathlon Federation, is even pleading with the Ministry of Sports to, you know, provide funds for them so that they can be part of this, you know, all-African game. I mean, for me, it simply tells us one thing, that you know, this sport is not valued, because if it were to be valued, I do not think that you know, the sport is talking about triathlon. The authority should be begging, you know, they should be hand in cap begging the sport ministry to provide funds for them. They had to take intervention of so many persons out there that had to intervene before they could even approve it. I mean, it simply means that we don't value that sport. That if we don't value it, let scrap it out, so that we know that yes, that is not part and parcel of the sport here, you know, because it means that if you are channeling money into that direction and you are paying no importance to it, where whenever major competition come on, you don't even want them to be part and parcel of such competition, then what is the essence of crafting or creating such a sport, you know, in the first place? So I think like I said, I'm happy and sad. Happy in the sense that they are going out there, because the last time we participated in triathlon, you know, sport was in 2011, and that is how many years down the line, you know, and this is all African game, for that matter, one of the biggest, you know, platform in African sports, where, you know, we get to see talent out there. But then we have relegated it to the background, where the authority is even handing cap, like I said earlier, begging, so that they should be part and parcel of this one. If we don't value it, then we should scrap it out. We know that, yes, this is what we are focusing our money into. You know, some of the lucrative sport. I'm not saying that triathlon is not lucrative, because, you know, there are some part of the climb in the world which they pay much importance to it, and they are getting the result. But in this part of the world, it seems as though we don't value it, and the sport, like I said, is relatively unknown. If we don't value it, then there is need for us to scrap it. But if we value it, then we must make sure we make provisional, adequate provision for such a federation, so that whenever we are heading for a major competition, they shouldn't, you know, come and be begging, making it look as though they are doing us favor by going to represent the country out there, which for me it shouldn't be so. You know, for example, the Super Eagles is going for any major competition out there, and they are now begging the NFF to provide funds for them for such a competition. It makes it look as though the Super Eagles player, they are begging us, you know, to help them, and for me it shouldn't be so. So the point is this, that if we don't value this sport, if we feel that they don't have any place, they don't have any good thing to offer us, then we should scrap it, other than making the men and women that is taking part in that very one look as though they are not valued, because that is what it means, and that is what I mean. If we want to go to the All-African game and make a very strong statement in triathlon, then we must give them the adequate support, financially and otherwise, so that they will go out there and bring back a, you know, good result for us.
All right, so keep our fingers crossed and see how the Triathlon Federation, of course, will perform when the All-African Games, of course, kickstarts in Accra, Ghana. All right, away from that, we hear the International Paralympic Committee has suspended Nigerian-born powerlifting athlete Latifa Tijani for 3 years for an anti-doping rule violation in breach of the APC anti-doping code. Tijani provided an adverse analytical findings for the presence of testosterone, and from what we're seeing, the man, of course, has been banned, you know, at this point in time. I don't know what you make of it, Michael. Athletes, of course, has been found, you know, wanting, you know, in different situations. I think from last year up to now, we've seen about 5 of them, of course, being sanctioned, you know, due to doping and all of that. I don't know what you make of it, what you make of the ban on Nigerian athletes.
For me, first, I want to say it's a sad narrative, and it has become a recurrent decimal that every now and then we begin to hear. We are hearing negative news about Nigerian athletes, you know, being caught in the web of, you know, failing drug tests or doping and all of that, which for me shouldn't be, because I think we have a whole lot of talent right here in the country, raw talent for that matter, that can go out there, you know, and do the nation proud, thereby sticking with the rules and regulations that guide such sport, not allow themselves to be influenced by, doping issue. And just like you said, 5 athletes so far. I mean, the likes of, can't forget the likes of Blessing Okagbare and the rest of them. So for me, I think it's quite disappointing. And we will keep calling on the Athletic Federation of Nigeria to do something very, very fast so as to stem this tide of this sad news where we are getting every now and then we are hearing that one Nigerian athlete or the other has been banned, courtesy of doping allegation, doping issue here and there, failing of drug tests and all of that. I think for me, it behoves on the Nigerian Athletic Federation, talking about AFN, to do their own part of the job by making sure that, they look on the welfare of this athlete, because if they actually take the welfare of our athlete as their first priority, then we must be looking out for them to see how they are faring and to also keep them abreast, with the latest happenings, in the world of the athletic, sport out there, and to also educate them time and time on the need for them to stay away from some of these banned substance, that could, bring shame and ignominy to the country. I think for me, it's quite disappointing, just like I said.
But disappointing. We hope that, of course, our athletes will try much as can to stay away from prohibited, substances. Well, still talking about, let's talk handball now, as we hear Nigerian under-18 men's handball team emerge as the champions of the IHF Trophy African Zone 3. Following their 33-25 victory over Ghana in the youth category final over the weekend. Coach Emeka Namani tutored side have qualified for the IHF Trophy Continental Phase, where they will also defend their title against other champions of their zone. Nigeria under-18 men's handball team will hope to win the Continental Phase to have a chance to qualify for the Intercontinental Phase. Also, Nigeria under-20 men's handball team led by Coach Fidelis Obi comfortably defeated Benin Republic 42-28 to finish on the podium in the third place match in junior category of the International Handball Federation Trophy African Zone 3 phase. Unfortunately, they would not qualify for the continental phase as they couldn't make it to the final following a shock defeat against Ivory Coast in the semi-finals. Ghana under-20 men's handball team are the champions of the junior category after defeating Ivory Coast 32-28 to the joy of their teaming fans. Michael, I don't know what you make of it. Impressive performance, but they couldn't make it through. Of course, they couldn't get the ticket, of course, to the continental showpiece, of course, that will be coming up. I don't know what you make of this one.
I think, just like you said, impressive outing for them, but the primary target and objective was not, met. So I think that is the angle I'm very disappointed. Which for me, I think is a cause for worry, for the nation, sport-wise, because we should have been able to, make it through, because we've been able to carve a niche for ourselves, in the past years. We're the giant of Africa, like we keep saying, and by doing so, we need to also replicate that to the rest of Africa out there whenever it has to do with sport, not just saying that we are the giants of Africa. Then when it calls for us to prove that giant in us, we just falter. But then there are some positive as well that we need to derive from that going forward. There are some of the individual brilliance, some of the good players out there who did one magical thing or the other. These are some of the positive that we need to draw from there going forward.
All right, let's talk about basketball, as the Tigers coach Mohamed Abdulrahman has blamed fatigue for his side uninspiring display so far the ongoing 2025 FIBA AfroBasket qualifiers in Monastir, Tunisia. The 2015 AfroBasket champion lost 76-62 to Uganda in their second game at the Sahih Mohamed Zali courts in Monastir, Tunisia over the weekend, and it was their second straight loss after humiliating overtime defeats to Libya, who outfought them to win 89-82 in the first game at the same venue on Friday. The Tigers yesterday lost their third consecutive match to Cape Verde 62-78 to wrap up their 2025 AfroBasket qualifiers in defeat. With the loss, the Nigerian senior basketball team have recorded 3 losses in 3 games in their February round of 2025 Afro-Basket qualifiers. Cape Verde denied the Tigers a spot at the 2023 FIBA Men's World Cup, and with the recent defeat, a spot at the Afro-Basket is in jeopardy as well. Michael, 3 games played and they lost all 3 games in the qualifiers. What do you make of this performance? The coach actually attribute the performance to, fatigue. I don't know if you agree with him.
Yeah, partly I will agree with the coach when you talk about fatigue as the reason for the poor performance of the team. Yeah, fatigue, but then it goes beyond fatigue to other factors, that was involved. Don't forget, we nearly not went for that very one, courtesy of they complain about paucity of fun. And at some point, the morals of the player were very low. Their morale were dampened. Immediately they heard there was no money, for such a, event for them to travel. Some of the players had lost hope as well, and we arrived there very, very late. In our first game, we were supposed to, play the game by 2 p.m., but because of our late arrival, they had to shift the game down to 8 p.m. The players had barely 6 to 7 hours to rest before their first game, and you don't expect such players to go out there and give their best, whereas your opponent has already arrived at the venue, settled down, maybe 2 or 3 days time, had to settle down, and get to acclimatize themselves with the environment, the weather and everything. But here we are coming there 6 hours before our first game. You don't expect to get the best out of the players. So for me, I partially agree that fatigue is part of the problem why we couldn't perform to our best out there. Lack of preparation as well. These are the things that caused the D Tigers from not getting at least a win, and that is how bad it is that the likes of Uganda, the likes of Cape Verde is defeating us, whereas we are powerhouse when you talk about basketball. So I think that is the height of bad leadership, I will say in quote, because it takes us less than 24 hours before the federation had to come up to cry publicly to the media that there was no money, at a point where Musa Kida had to make it very clear that he's not going to use his own personal money again to fund the team, because the billions, according to him, that he has spent for the team in time past has not been refunded to him. So I think for me it's a disappointing one. And the Nigerian Basketball Federation, and the body that be, I don't know whether the federal government as well should be blamed for this very one, or should I channel the blame to the sport ministry. But all of these are some of the factors that culminated to the bad performance that we've seen from the D Tigers, because we know D Tigers as one team that whenever they go out there, be rest assured that they are going to give their best out there and come out with a positive result. But due to shoddy preparation and late arrival into the match venue, these are some of the things that actually, distracted and dampened the morals of the player. Even their psychology as well was affected, because some of the players, immediately they heard that there was no money to take part in this very. Some of them went back to their club side. So it was a late minute before they were called back that they should come, that money has been provided. And for me, if you dig deep, you discover that not all of the players came back, and you definitely affect the psychology of the player. I was listening to a sister station, today. They were trying to make, some assertion, likening it to someone about to write an exam, a WAEC, and they said today, this is when you are going to be having your exam today. And next thing, they got another message that the exam has been cancelled. And for you as a student, you say, okay, just because the exam has cancelled, you have forgotten about everything, about your preparation for you to sit for the exam. Only for the late minute for you to be called back in few hours time that you are coming to sit for the same exam, which they say they've cancelled. I mean, some of these things, causes a distraction, and I think that is the reason why our players were unable to give out their best out there, and that is why we got the poor result that we had there, because when you fail to plan, automatically you have planned to fail, and that is what happened to the D Tigers.
All right. We hope that all of these issues, of course, will be resolved. It was really an abysmal outing for the D Tigers of Nigeria, and we hope that going forward, the MBBF and as well as the Sport Ministry look for a way, to curb all of this situation. But Michael, that's a big question at the moment. What next? Going forward for the D Tigers?
It's
for basketball in Nigeria.
It's very simple. We must come back, come back to the drawing board, put our house in order. Take a look at those things that we've not gotten right since 3 years down the line right now, because this problem actually started in 2022. During that leadership tussle and all of that, where the president then had to disband the team. And for me, I thought by now we should have been able to put our house, together and find a way forward for the Nigerian Basketball Federation, both the male and female. Because the D Tigers, they are not also left outside of the equation as well. Don't forget the last time that we went for a major, tournament out there with Ren and Wakama, she came in very, very late in that very one, courtesy of, poor planning. But then she was able to carry the girls and tutor them, went there and conquered and came back fine. But after that, what next? We look as though we just sit back and just begin to sleep. It's when we hear that there is a major tournament, and that is when we just wake up from the slumber and as if we were not doing anything. And I think for me, the way forward is for us to come back to the drawing board, try to look at some of those things that serves as an impediment for the growth and development of basketball in the country, and be able to fix it so that we will have a leeway that we can be able to say, yes, this is a federation that is running perfectly. Because if a federation is not running perfectly, then there is bound to be a failure within other ranks of the federating unit. And that is what we need to do. We need to come back home, look at some of those things that serves as a challenge, and be able to profile solution for them, so that we can be able to nick some of this problem in the board earlier and prepare for what lies ahead of us, which is the next competition. As it stands right now, we couldn't even qualify for the Olympic. That is how bad it is. A giant of Africa, a powerhouse in Africa. When you talk about basketball, we couldn't qualify for the Olympic, and we were defeated here in our own backyard. We lost the ticket right here in our own backyard, and that is how bad it is. So I think there are many loopholes within the Nigerian Basketball Federation that we need to fix. And the authority, the body that be, they just need to, put aside their differences and work for the interests of the game.
All right, so we hope that the leaders for the MBBF will actually put up their interest, to work for the growth of basketball, in the country. But at this point, we'll take a short break, and when we'll come back from this break, we'll move straight to the beautiful world of football. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back, C Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course we'll bring you the latest revolving around the world of sports at the moment. And of course it's time for we to talk football, and we'll start with the Nigerian Premier Football League. Of course, we saw match day 31 over the weekend. A total of 9 matches, of course, were played, and we saw about 14 goals scored and 5 home wins, 2 away wins, and 2 score draw, and 1 goalless draw. Biker, what do you make of the statistics in March 31 of the Nigerian Premier Football League?
For me, I think the statistics is just normal. The only difference is this week we had about 2 away wins, so far, and 14 goals scored in 9 games. For me, I think it's quite poor. The goal ratio, the goal return is quite poor. You can't be having 9 games in different centers and giving us a goal return of 14 goals. And out of those 14 goals, I think one team over there in the north had to score 5 out of those 14 goals. So invariably it means that it was only 9 goals that was scored in all of those games that took place, which for me, I think the goal ratio is very, very poor. 9 goals in 9 games, 14 goals in 9 games. I think for me, that is the angle I'm very worried. But for the way victory, I think I'm very, very satisfied, because this is one thing we'll be calling for teams to go away, pick all 3 points, come back home safely, devoid of any attack from home fans out there, which has been the case over the years, where whenever you go away and try to pick even a single point, you are an object of attack from the home fans out there, because they feel that it is not your right for you to come to their home to pick a point out there. So I think that narrative is gradually changing in this year's NPFL, and I think the authority have done a good job talking about Benga Elegbele, and also some of the games that we are televising. I think it has also helped to caution some of these referees as well to stick to the rules of the game, whereby some time ago, when a goal is scored, when they discover that it's a away team that come to score such goal in a home game, they try to find 1 or 2 excuses so as to manipulate the process by disallowing the goal. But now that they are being watched live, they will be more cautious on what they do out there. And again, considering the lack of inclusiveness of the Nigerian ref in CAF organized competition, so they are trying to make amend for this, because I know in the just concluded African Cup of Nations, not even a single Nigerian ref was included, and that is how poor it is. And the Nigerian Referee Association also have been crying about it. So I believe they want to make amend, and that is why we've seen, fair officiating this season. And we heard about 14 referees so far this season, have been suspended courtesy of one, offense or the other. And I think for me, this has improved the level of the game. So looking at the statistics, very okay. 9 games played, 14 goals scored, 2 away win, 5 home victory. I think very, very okay. But then we need to do more. We need to do more in the area of goal scoring, because it is the goal scoring that get the fans excited. It is the goals that keep the fans on their toes. The joy and euphoria, that comes with scoring goals. It help boost the morals and confidence of the fan out there. Keep them on their toes. They are very, very excited. So these are some of the ingredients and spices up the game or the league. When you get to score goals, it helps the fans as well to be more supportive of their teams out there. So that is the only area. But then again, before I forget, Aqua United also lost at home. They are one of the teams that lost at home this season. Yes, which is very poor for them. Then again, Doma United as well surprisingly lost at the Pantami Stadium. First time in this season that they will be losing at home. So I think these are some of the surprises that I was able to take away from this weekend game in the NPFL.
All right, Kano Pillars beat Sunshine Stars by 5-1, and Lobby Stars beat Heartland FC 1-0. Niger Tornadoes beat Abia Warriors by 1-0. So like Michael mentioned, Aqua United lost to Bayelsa United by 1-0. Plateau United played goalless against Shooting Stars, and Gombe United beat Sporting Lagos by 2-0. Doma United lost to Enugu Rangers by 1-0, and Kwara United played 1-1 draw against Katsina United. Benda Insurance played goalless against Eyimba Football Club. All right, sir, but Michael, before we take a look at European football, this afternoon we saw the Super Falcons in action. The match, of course, has ended. It ended in a 1-0 victory in favor of the Super Falcons of Nigeria. We saw that 15-minute goal from Esther Koronko, and of course that helped the team, to get that particular. They are now in the last phase of the qualifiers.
Yeah.
I don't know what you make of, the performance of the Super Falcons, in this Paris 2024 Olympic qualifiers.
Well, first, I must congratulate the girls. It's not an easy task for them. The Cameroonian girls out there, they were very strong as well. In our first leg last week, we had to go there. We played 0-0, though we had a clear goal that was disallowed. So for me, I think it wasn't an easy game for them, and that is why they were able to score just 1 goal, and that goal came in the 15 minutes of first half of the ball. What matters is the victory. What matters is the 3 points. They've been able to progress through for the knockout. In the next round, which possibly will be facing South Africa and any other team out there. So I think that is what is very, very vital. Just like building up to that very game, Coach Waldron was asked a question whether the Super Falcons, they have what it takes to, dismantle the Cameroonian girls. He says, yes, that if they could be able to play in the World Cup against some of the highly rated teams, how much more, the Cameroonian, that he is not afraid of a loss, that he definitely knows that his girls is going to do the job out there. And that is a coach that truly knows what he's doing. That is a coach that is speaking from confidence. That is a coach that is speaking from experience of the fact that, yes, he has been with these girls. He understands the strength of the girls. And before a coach will come bold to tell you that he's not afraid of a loss, that he knows what his player can do, he tells you the level of trust that such coach has with his player. So for me, I think the job has been done and dusted, but there's still much to play, because we aren't through yet. We still have some games to play before we could clinch one of the tickets out there. But a good job done so far.
Good job done so far by the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Then the last phase of the qualifiers, of course, look forward to see if they can get through. But over the weekend, we saw, a CAF Confederation Cup encounter. Rivers United were able to get past, APC Lobito by 3-2 in that particular encounter. So as it stands now, the next game against Dream FC, of course, is actually a must win for them, because if they get through in that one, of course, they will be to stand very, very tall in that particular group and qualify as well. But Michael, do you see Rivers United qualifying, taking a look at how tight and how, good the Dream FC side they've been so far in the competition?
Yes, of course, it's still very much possible that Rivers United can, qualify. Because I stand right now, I think they are just goals different from the second place, because it is the goal that is separating them right now. If not, I think Rivers United should have been in the second position, courtesy of that victory yesterday against the APC Lobito of Angola. But then I think we still have a great chance, because we will be playing against the Ghanaian side here on our home soil. So I believe if we can get victory against them, that will do the job. But the only area I'm pretty much worried is about the defense line of Rivers United. In the last two games that they have played, they have scored 6 goals and conceded 4, which for me, it shouldn't be so. If you score 1 or 2 goals, you should be able to protect that goal, because you conceding goals left, right, and center could be very, very devastating at some point, where you get to a point where goal difference might also do the job for you. So they need to beef up their defense line to ensure that when the Ghanaian side come here, talking about Dream FC, we are going to make sure, even if we get to score a half goal, we must protect it with all of our life to ensure that we skate through, because if we don't, then it's a big problem for us. So it is all left for Rivers United to do. The ball is on their court right now, to get the job done. Just score 1 goal and lock up shop, and that does the job.
Let's look forward to see how it goes. Can Rivers United, get a goal and defend it down here in Nigeria? We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But let's stay away from that now to take a look at the Carabao Cup final yesterday. Liverpool won the League Cup in dramatic fashion as Virgil van Dijk's header late in extra time sealed the 1-0 win against Chelsea at Wembley on Sunday. Michael, was such an impressive performance we saw from Liverpool as well as Chelsea over the weekend. But what do you make of it? What do you make of that performance we saw yesterday from Liverpool? They actually left it late, before we saw that bullet header from Virgil van Dijk in that particular encounter. What do you make of the performance, from the Reds?
I think for me it was a keenly contested game between both sides, talking about Liverpool and the Chelsea Football Club. But then I think the Liverpool side is more hungry, and that is why they took the cup, because Chelsea, they had lot of chances to have killed off the game, especially in the first half, where chances came in the way of Conor Gallagher and the rest of the players, the likes of Disasi, Sterling as well, were also culprits. Even Enzo Fernandez was also a culprit in that yesterday game, where opportunity failed to their side. They failed to take their chances. And in such game of such magnitude, the cup final, if you have your chances and you fail to convert it, then that would be the greatest undoing to yourself, and then paid for it dearly for me. But in all, I just think that it wasn't Chelsea's day, because they did everything to ensure that they win that very cup, which should have been the shortest route for them to head to Europe. But it wasn't to be. They created lot of chances, but their problem this season has been their conversion rate. They find it very difficult to take their chances when they have done all the work needed to do. You need to give kudos to one man, talking about Cole Palmer. I think that guy is a very great player. The way he controls the ball, the way he lays his passes out there, the way he opens up the defense of the opposing team out there. He was such a great player to watch that yesterday. Even the fact that Liverpool had injury concern, where they had to field in some of their teenagers out there, they still got the job done, and thus they tell you of how important the cup is for them, because they want to send Jurgen Klopp, a very goodwill message when he leaves this season. That is why they are fighting from all fronts to ensure that they have a good ending for the season so far. But for me, I think it was a great display from the Reds, talking about Liverpool yesterday.
Great display from the Reds, talking about Liverpool. But, you know, what do you make of, you know, Chelsea? Just like you mentioned, a lot of missed chances for them. And a lot of the Chelsea supporters are actually blaming Mauricio Pochettino for not winning the Carabao Cup yesterday. Will you attribute the blame to the coach or to the players who actually missed so many chances in that game?
Well, I think it's on both sides. It's on both sides. I also blame the coach. Why? In the second half of the extra time, the coach had to ask his players, you know, to take their foot off the pedal, you know, not to attack more, but you know, defend more than do an attacking, you know, part of the job, which for me was a very wrong game plan. He should have stuck with his first. You know, tactics, thereby attacking and defending at the same time. But he thought that penalty shootout would have been the best, you know, ending for him, because he had trust in Petrovic to save 1 or 2 penalties, which would have given them the cup. But then it wasn't to be, as you know, Virgil van Dijk had a different, you know, game altogether. And just at the end of, at the nick of time, just 2 minutes before normal, you know, extra time came to an end, you know, Virgil van Dijk rose very high to, you know, striking that bullet header out there, which actually nailed the coffin of Chelsea. But then again, you would also blame Chelsea's player as well, who failed to take their chances when it came. You know, because like I said earlier, if you have such chances in a cup final, you fail to take it, then you pay for it dearly, which is what happened to them yesterday. Then again, you talk about the refereeing decision. The first goal that was scored in a match, you know, where they ruled it off, courtesy of an offside, according to the, you know, VAR, according to the ref. I think for me, that is another turning point of the game, because if they had allowed that Raheem Sterling goal to stand, that might change the whole complexion of the game. And again, Liverpool side as well, they had a goal disallowed, which is quite questionable as well. The goal that Virgil van Dijk scored is also questionable, the reason why they had to cancel that goal. But then, I think in all, going back to your question, the blame should be shared between the coach and the player.
All right, so let's quickly take a look at some results we saw over the weekend in the Premier League, as the Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Sheffield United by 1-0, and Aston Villa beats Nottingham Forest by 4-2. Brighton and Hove Albion, they played 1-1 draw against Everton. Crystal Palace, of course, beat Burnley by 3-0. Manchester United lost to Fulham 2-1. Michael, when we thought that it was going to be rosy for Manchester United throughout, we saw them losing to Fulham over the weekend.
It's a very poor one for Manchester United. At their home ground, where you expect them to, you know, fire from all cylinders, they've played about 4 to 5 games so far without losing any. In fact, they have not lost any game since the start of this year, and you expect them to build on this momentum, especially when a new owner came to take part of, you know, the share of the club, talking about Jimmy Ratcliffe, and people were rejoicing. United fans say that the good performance so far should be attributed to the, you know, coming in of Jimmy Ratcliffe. But yesterday, just the weekend when they lost, you know, they began to sing a different song. They began to, you know, wax a different lyrics out there that the coach should be blamed and all of that. But when it was very, very rosy for them, they were giving the glory to Ratcliffe. But just when they lost to Fulham in the weekend, they had to blame the coach as well. So for me, I think generally, I think Manchester United, they forgot their backline and went out for all attack. Immediately they got that equalizer, and thereby leaving the back very porous. And Fulham were very, very good on the counter-attack, and that is why they had to capitalize on that counter-attack. You saw a great counter-attack there, which was rounded up by Alex Iwobi, who many actually threw tantrum courtesy of his, you know, seemingly not good performance in the African Cup of Nations. But we've seen him, you know, a different fashion, in the different style, talking about Alex Iwobi. So in all, I think the two Nigerians made a difference in the game. Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi nailed Manchester United at Old Trafford.
All right, of course, those are the results we saw. And Arsenal, of course, beats Newcastle United by 4-1 in the weekend action as well. Bournemouth lost to Manchester City by 1-0. At this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show We'll be back tomorrow by 9 a.m., of course, to bring you the latest revolving round the water sports. It's been an impressive time this evening with Emmanuel Michael.
It's always good doing this with you, Kingsley.
All right, so don't forget, peace and unity always the pathways to progress. You can go down to our different social media handle called The Conversation. Continues right there. My name is Kingsley Mando. Thanks for watching.